Mic check, round 2. We're going to try this again. All right, sweet, loud and clear. Here we go. Sick. All right, how's this? Anybody? Lima Charlie, how am I coming in? Handles on the mic or bad reception? Most likely it was my mental debilitating stupidity that was causing that. So operator error. I told you guys, I'm not the smartest cracker in the box. That's like a terrible analogy. Maybe I'm not the brightest bulb in the shed. All right, sounds good. So let's see here. Okay, so what I was going to be talking about earlier, I'm going to go ahead and hit on everything that I hit on earlier. I'll do the SHOT Show portion at the end, but I'm just going to do a real quick recap for those who are just now catching the live. So if you saw the last live, apologies. This live video is in regards to the episode that I posted about the threat of terrorist-style attacks that happened here in the U.S. this year. And the reason why I think that's going to be still very, very likely is because of the amount of pressure that this administration is going to be putting on those types of groups. So you got to remember, they had the time to be able to get ready and prepare and to get things in place and to set things in motion the past 4 years. Now, some folks might be already under this false assumption that like, oh yeah, things are good because nothing happened at the inauguration. There are so many people that thought something was going to happen at the inauguration. But what we need to consider is most likely there was credible threats and something that was very, I would say, most likely and also a most deadly course of action that would have happened, that they moved the inauguration indoors. So whenever you have intel that comes across and it's extremely credible and there's a lot of evidence that points to that this is a real legit threat, it's not just a bluff, then they will react to do something to change the event or to make adjustments to the plan. So that way there is no event that happens. It's honestly kind of boring, which is exactly what people want when you want to have a successful operation. You want it to be essentially boring. You're not looking for a fight. You want to make sure that you're, checking every window, checking every corner, make sure that every person's vetted, like all of these things, so that way you can ensure that the event goes successfully. So the reason why the inauguration happened indoors was because credible threats were taken seriously and they made an adjustment to the plan. And so it became a normal inauguration that was kind of boring, and that was great. So what we need to do is, well, Mike Glover is half Korean, so I will say that. We're hybrids. But anyways, he is a lot better looking than I am, though. So when it comes to what is happening across the border right now with the cartel, we just saw the other day that there were cartel members that got into a firefight with Border Patrol. Understand, now that the DOD has labeled the cartels as a terrorist organization, which was just a blanket coverage, right? It wasn't like, hey, the Sinaloas or this cartel. It's cartels in general are going to be under labeled as terrorist organizations. So now you're going to have DOD personnel, you're going to have troops, Marines. There's rumors that the 82nd GRF, the 101st is going to be down there. You got Tier 1 and Tier 2 operators that are going to be operating in areas to be able to take out high-value targets and disrupt their operations. There's going to be a second and third order of effect that comes from that. There is going to be a response by the cartel. Now, whether that's shock and awe to do mass casualty events to be able to pull away resources from the border, that is something that we have to consider. So we're already seeing on the border IEDs, we're seeing tripwires, we're seeing mines, we're seeing grenades, all types of military-grade armament, which, by the way, is coming from Ukraine. That should be a massive area of concern, especially if that armament makes it into the U.S. or is already established in the U.S. Now, imagine you have the cartels, which we know have a relationship with China because of the fentanyl process. You have Chinese military-age males that were flooding the border over the past 4 years that have established sleeper cell groups in working with, whether it's Russian sleeper cell groups, Chechen sleeper cell groups, or Iranian sleeper cell groups, These are all things that are starting to be the recipe that is formulating the nasty Murphy's Law pie that hopefully we will never have to eat, and we can discover it before anything happens. The problem is the probability of finding everything is going to be almost impossible, right? So what that means is that video that I posted a couple of weeks ago, the intent of that video is to make sure that we do not get complacent and fall asleep. It's so easy, and we've done this as a country. I'm also guilty of it, where we're just like, ah, man, things are great, man. You know, everything's fine. Like, oh, look, Trump's in. He's going to take care of all of it. He's going to fix all of our problems. No, you have to remain vigilant. You have to make sure that you are your own security. You are your own QRF. Nobody's coming to save you. And you also have to make sure that you're training and ready, and that it's a responsibility that we have to our families, to our friends, to our loved ones, to our kids, to make sure that they're protected on that day when something does happen and you're in the wrong place at the wrong time with the ones that you love. And so this is something that I just want to kind of help reinforce within our community, not necessarily with you guys, because all of us most likely are squared away and are thinking about these things, but it's good to brief our family members or our spouses or our kids. Be like, hey, you know that whenever we're in the store, don't run away from me in the aisle. I need you to stay right next to the cart. Make sure you be an extra set of eyes, look around and see if you see anything that's weird. And if you see something weird, let mom and dad know, or letting your wife know, hey, when you're in the parking lot, stay off your phone, or don't have your headphones in and listen to a podcast as you're walking through Walmart doing a shopping run. Guilty as charged. I've done it because I do enjoy podcasts, but it's one of those things where we have to take the phone out of our face, the earbuds out of our ears, and make sure that we're carrying the proper armament so that way, you know, we're ready, because whenever we decide to be lazy is when Murphy will usually strike. And for those who know what Murphy's Law is essentially if something can go wrong, it will go wrong at the worst possible time. So, like, just thinking about all of the groundwork that has been laid over the last 4 years to think that just because Trump is in office, that that's just going to magically go away and nothing will come of that. All the money and resources and time and armament that's been in place when we had a porous border, it would be foolish of us to think that, oh, everything's going to be fine now. So just remain vigilant. Don't let your guard down. Look out for each other. If you guys know everything about this channel, for those who are new, the whole point of this channel is community and to look out for each other, to share knowledge, to take our egos and throw them away. There's plenty of egos out there, but we come in to be humble men and humble warriors, to be able to learn from each other, because we all have knowledge. And even if you feel like you don't bring something to the table, you bring something to the table. And, you know, whether that's the training that you've been through or even some of the skill sets that you have through your trade or what you do for a job, that is all pertinent and all important. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of push that out there, just because I feel like there is this essence of people being like, oh man, Trump's got it in the bag. Look at it. I mean, yes, these are great things. We should all be paying attention to what's going on. And in my opinion, as Trump hopefully continues to fulfill his promises and give more power back to the people, more oversight on government programs and committees, and having more exposure on those types of things, the better. And we should be cheering him on as he does it. And at the same time, if he starts to slip and go against the Constitution, we should be the first to smash it and be like, hey man, this is absolute trash. So I think that we're going in a good direction. What I do believe is that, one, I know that there's a lot of churches and a lot of Christians and a lot of believers who have been praying for our government, who have been praying for our leadership, been praying for mercy on this, and I think God is answering those prayers by allowing the Trump administration to be here. I'm not saying it's a godsend, but what I am saying is that it's almost like I'm reading in Joseph, or about Joseph in the Coat of Many Colors right now. You know, Joseph was the son of Jacob, and now he was, through all the hardships he went to, got sold by his brothers into slavery, ends up becoming the second most powerful man in Egypt, and he has been put into that position through all the hardships he went through, ends up being put into a high position of power to be able to save his own family, because there were 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. And he was wise and listened to the Lord and prepared during those 7 years of plenty. We are about to go, I hope so, we are about to go into the 4 years of plenty. And I hope it's a little bit longer. But there's going to be a famine. Like, it's going to happen. It's going to come. And so take the opportunity right now. If you're going to be, buying property, invest, buy ammo, buy gear, get training, buy a little bit more ammo to train, because hopefully ammo prices go down and things are going on. I think that is something that we have the opportunity, hopefully, now to do, and I think we should capitalize on that as soon as possible, while maintaining that vigilance of the possibility of bad actors that are going to try to disrupt things here in the U.S. And the other thing that they know about is if they disrupt things a lot more, there's going to be more security, there's going to be more government oversight, things of that nature. So it's just something that we need to consider. Back the things that are happening that are good, and also make sure that we are paying attention to what's going on, and continuing to pray for our nation and pray for each other and to look out for each other. So that was essentially what I was trying to push out to you guys earlier before my mic was all jacked up and I was covering it with my fat thumb. But if you guys want to know anything about SHOT Show, just got back from SHOT Show. Some of the things that stuck out to me, I can kind of go over, but yeah. So also any questions that you guys have, I would love to answer some questions. So, all right. So yes, I think that they are going to hit harder now because of what he's doing, and so being ready. Plate carrier I'm running a Cry Precision JPC. I love this plate carrier. The other one that we work with a lot is Wetworks. I met him at SHOT Show. It's just him and his wife, man. And they're a small American-owned business out of Texas. Really cool people, and they make some high-quality gear. So they used to make parachute gear. If you guys have seen other content that I've done and talked about Wetworks, they used to make parachute gear for SOCOM, which means you have to have a high attention to detail, high-quality control. But now they make, like, plate carriers. They make a lot of AK stuff. So, like, if you're into AKs and you like running that weird stuff, which is funny now because if you run AKs now, you're kind of like bougie. And back in the day, you were kind of like, you can't afford to shoot, so run an AK. But they make like AK placards and things of that nature, so really neat. Okay, how big SHOT Show? So I have nothing to base it upon because it was the first time I ever went to SHOT Show. For me, it felt insane. Like there were so many people. Really, really cool though, because I met a ton of you guys who are Barrel and Hatchet fans and fans of the channel, and Christians and believers, and even not people who were Christians that were just like, hey, I love the channel, love the content. It was cool to meet you guys and stuff like that. So that was really, really awesome. Probably one of the highlights of the show. As far as the amount of vendors, I did not understand. I couldn't visualize the scale of how big it was. And sadly, I ended up booking meetings with companies on opposite ends of the floor. So I would sprint to one side to the other, look at some things on the way, get stopped in between by people to shake hands and say hey and talk for a little bit, and then book it to the next. So it was just insane. Ended up getting the SHOT Show crud afterwards. So I slept for like 2 days straight after I got back. But good now. And as far as products that kind of stuck out to me, I talked to some of you guys a little bit on the first one, is Palmetto State had a bunch of crazy stuff. So one, they got a 50 cal sniper rifle. I believe it's a bolt action. Don't quote me on that. Maybe it's a semi for under $2,000, which is nuts. That's a concept item. They had a 8.6 blackout, I believe, or 8.7 blackout, whatever that new caliber is. They have a thing in that. To be honest, all the Crink stuff looks really cool to me. And honestly, I think it looks pretty, it's just interesting and it's different. They have some really cool AR-10 type platforms that are clones that look like the M110 and other variants of that. So that was pretty neat to see. They also had the Mark 12 and the Saber line. One of the cool things is, I didn't know this, they're coming out with a 2011. So who knew that would happen? But they're coming out with the 2011 platform. Supposedly it's going to be really affordable. They also had like their MP5 style or MP7 style platform. So I know that's getting ready to roll out, and that's scheduled to be able to release this first quarter. Looks promising. The other one that they had a couple other things, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So hey, how's it going, guys? Hey. So one of the, oh my goodness. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So one of the companies that really did stick out to me is Kimber. Kimber, if you guys remember, is like a FUD style company. really the older demographic, 2 World Wars, 45 for life. And then they kind of just dropped off in terms of quality control. Well, they had a CEO at the time, not the best, ended up getting a new CEO, and now they're trying to rebuild their brand, but also reconnect with the younger demographic, which I think is great. So they have multiple 2011s that they released at SHOT that they were debuting. They also have a double stack 45 that looked really cool. A lot of red dot type mounted stuff. And so we're seeing them trying to reach that younger demographic. So we may end up working with them a little bit to try to help them out to kind of reach the pulse of the modern day shooter. And I mean, Kimber is still around. And I remember that my cousin, when he was a police officer years back, this is right before all the BLM stuff dropped, like the first time around. He actually had a Kimber as a backup, and it was when they had their last CEO, and that thing rusted after a week. It was nuts. So, yeah. But as far as them, they had some really cool stuff. Keltec obviously had some weird 5.7 crazy looking pistol thing that has like stripper clips. It was kind of strange, but interesting. Now, when it comes to the Kimber stuff, one of the things that I was talking with Kimber and also with Ruger is for those of you who are parents or you have kids and you want to pass something on, one of the things that I would consider if you're looking at doing some sort of investment is start looking at classic timepieces in terms of an investment piece. So you can always, guns obviously always appreciate in value as they get older on, but like Ruger has a lot of lever action, Smith & Wesson has lever actions and cowboy action guns or revolvers. Kimber has a lot of their stuff, collectible type stuff. And so my cousin's actually the one that was like, hey man, you should start thinking about your kids and what you want to hand off to them. That would be a good investment piece. That is an actual tangible asset that you can own, kind of like gold and silver, thinking about it in the same way. And so that is something I've been actually looking into. So it might be good to start thinking about that, especially if you're trying to hand something off to your children. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, met Pat from Sons of Liberty. So Sons of Liberty had a lot of cool stuff out there this year, as always, and it was also great to meet Pat. So it's great to meet you, dude. Ghost Stock's coming back in stock. Still TBD. We're still working on supply and all that type of stuff. So for those who don't know, I ended up, I'm pretty much running everything on my own. So answer all the emails, the DMs, doing all the videos, doing all the editing, filming, classes, all of it on my own. So it's been, quite a challenge trying to balance all of that to include the podcast. And there's just a lot on the plate. So right now, as far as shirts and hats and all that stuff, I've gotten rid of all of that to where I don't want to keep shipping things out late to you guys. It stinks to ship things out late, especially when you guys, try to support Barrel and Hatchet in that way. And so I'm like, until I can figure out a way to do it right, I'm just going to wait. So as far as the hats, most likely I may do it where I have them in person and you guys can get them from me in class or something like that in person, just so that way it's a little bit easier on my end. And also I'm not dropping the ball on getting you guys things that you guys order. So until that time, I'm kind of waiting on that. Another one that was really cool, Night Force had a really cool spotting scope that looks kind of weird. It looks like an optic, like a scope. It doesn't look like a traditional spotting scope, where it has the Mil-XT reticle. It also has a Tremor 3 reticle, and whenever you zoom out to be able to give you a clear piece of glass, the reticle actually goes to the bottom 1/3 of the glass, which I thought was cool. You zoom in, it goes back to the entire reticle inside the glass, but that way you can kind of see what you're looking at if you're trying to get the reticle out of the way. Anytime I'm trying to observe stuff, usually I'll actually look at that thing or target in the top 1/3 of my scope, so that way I can kind of see what's going on. So that was pretty cool. They have a lot of cool stuff coming out. As far as the Mil-XT reticle, I've always told you guys, I love when optics have great reticles. That makes or breaks an optic for me. So having a really good reticle is hard to find at a really decent price point. So usually all the good reticles are going to be in glass that has a higher price point. Well, from the 2.5 to 20 Night Force video, you guys remember I love the Mil-XT reticle. And so when I was talking to Night Force, they're actually going to make the Mil-XT reticle available in their entry optics line. So now instead of, paying higher prices for a really high-end glass, you can get in their entry-level glass that's still high quality, very, very clear, but also you're able to get a Mil-XT reticle in there. So super excited about that. As always, I love the fact that companies are starting to try to find a way to connect with the consumer that's not going to absolutely just, bend them over and spank the crap out of them. So Yeah. Bunker branding for delivery needs and stock. Okay, I will check it out. Much love from Vegas. Used to work for Pasco, so started following you guys since 2021. Love the content and faith-based foundation. I'll tell you right now, when it comes to faith and community, I am just I get to be a part of it. I'm just blessed to be a part of being in the community with you guys and being able to share in that. And it's a blessing for me. Like I'm almost just like an experiencer in terms of, whenever you guys tell me testimonies or send prayer requests, it's like, dude, holy smokes, like God is the star of the show, and I'm just hanging out. And so I love every single one of you guys and being able to connect with you guys, especially in person, like at SHOT Show or in class. It's literally one of my favorite things. And it's what keeps me going to be able to keep pushing on. Because honestly, I'm not going to lie, a couple years back, I was getting burnt out. But the Lord kind of rejuvenated that strength in me, gave me another passion and a love for people, because I started to change my heart towards the heart of Christ, where He has a passion and a love for people. And so I started to get some of that love and that passion, and it's been great. I just love being a part of the community. So I'm kind of new to guns. I want to ask, what do you think is the best beginner gun? What do you prefer? What do you pay attention to, etc.? As far as an entry level gun, you can never go wrong with Glock. However, nowadays there's a lot of really good options that are not Glock. The Ruger RXM, just did a video on that. I actually really enjoy that. What's nice about that gun, if you get into that as your first pistol, the trigger control group is serialized. But that gives you the opportunity to run Glock parts from Glock 19 Gen 3 parts. That means threaded barrels and things of that nature. They're aftermarket, and also gets you in line for the new Magpul lowers that they're going to be coming out with for that platform. So now, because the trigger group is serialized, not the lower receiver, Magpul can make different color lowers. They can make bigger ones, so it'd be like a G45, all different types of options, which is actually kind of nice. So the Ruger RXM is nice. I will always push people towards the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. Make sure you get a optic cut one. The metal's really nice. This is what I run. So a metal 4 1/4 and a metal 5-inch competitor. And also, I guarantee you, some people are probably going to comment some really awesome platforms in there, and so those would also be worth looking into. Do the scissor and plate carrier get in the way of mag changes? Do you always run them there? Yeah, I mean, as far as this, I honestly just shove these there just because I was trying to make sure I brought them. Usually, I'll actually shove them kind of like in the side pouch or something. For the plate carrier, usually I have a Leatherman folding pair of scissors, but the one thing I think that is just as important as scissors is an MRE spoon. Make sure you sharpen the tip of it so that way you have a little point, but you also have a spoon everywhere you go, because nothing sucks more than trying to eat a hot meal with your fingers or a knife. Besides pistols, a BCM upper on a PSA lower is a good option for a rifle. Absolutely agree. Praise Jesus and pass the ammo. Amen, brother. Let's see, Lord, so we can all encourage you. Amen. Jesus is our true compass, always points true. Perfect. Well, hey guys, just wanted to kind of get that information out to y'all. For this next upcoming video, it's going to be a bunch of like gun tips that I've picked up over the years from people who are way smarter than I am, that I'm just going to pass on to you. It's probably going to be redundant for some of you guys. It might be something you're like, hey, that's new, and I've never even thought of that. And hopefully that's the case. So, yeah, that's what this next upcoming video is going to be about. Still working on the drone video. That's going to be pretty epic. Afterwards, I'm also going to be talking about a chest rig, heavy chest rig loadout that I run for heavy sustainment for a long period of time. That will also be another video that's upcoming. But if you guys have ideas for videos, or you're curious about things, let me know. Comment into this video. Comment on the community post where I ask about video ideas, because I'd love to really just put out things that you guys are actually interested in, and that you actually want to hear about. So, yeah, Saber Dagger is good. Prior military, yes. 6 years old, right? Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks so much for being here. I love all of you guys. Make sure you guys look out for each other. Train to be the eternal asset. My name is Eric, and I'll see you on the next live.